Hi everyone, this is me Osama Gaza. Welcome to another video, and in today's tutorial I'll be talking about the fisheye or optics compensation in Adobe After Effects. Last week, if you guys remember, we did this effect in Adobe Premiere Pro and I got a couple of DMs on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for interacting with me. Like a few people just asked me to do this exact same effect in Adobe After Effects. So yeah, here we are. There is actually one cool thing happened to me last week, guys, and I would really love to share it with you. I got featured on Photoshop on Instagram. Yeah, you can find the link to that below in the description. All right, so the fish eye effect in Adobe After Effects is pretty easy, and it can be done by something called optics compensation. And the way to do this is, first of all, just make sure that you're on the effect controls panel over here. Then go to effects and presets and search for something called optics compensation. And of course, guys, as I'm always saying, I'm not going to be doing this effect on each separate clip, and that's why I created this adjustment layer here. So it saves time and effort. And to create an adjustment layer in Adobe After Effects, all you need to do is right click in this panel, new, and choose adjustment layer. All right, so we're going to drag and drop this optics compensation effect onto our adjustment layer. Go to the middle point where the first clip ends and the second clip starts. And as you guys can see here, the field of view, that's what we're going to be change. And we will set that up at the maximum value, which is 150. And as you guys can see, it kind of bends backwards, and the way to fix that is by checking this reverse lens distortion box over here. Then we will have to check the optimal pixels box over here, and what that does is blurring the screen a little bit during the peak of our transition, which makes it more seamless. Let's do this, right, and create a keyframe for the field of view, because this is the peak of our transition as we explained last time. Then I'm gonna go back for a couple of frames and set this value back to 0. This is going to be the start of our transition. Then go a few more frames after the middle frame and set this value back to 0 again. Right? But we forgot to do something here, guys. See, when I move the cursor to the middle point or the peak of the transition, you can see these black edges. And of course, we're not going to have that in our video. So the way to fix that is by search for something called motion tile and drop it. Just make sure to put the motion tile above the optics compensation. It's pretty important, guys. Right? And increase the output width to 300 and the output height to 300 too. Then this is a very important point, just to check this mirror edges, because you don't want to have these thin lines appearing in your video, right? So what we want is something like that. You can barely see these lines now, and everything just looks seamless and cool. Let's check that out. Rendering quality to third just to save time. Alright, so now the final step to tweak that up a little bit and make it look cooler is by fixing these keyframes with the graph editor. Okay, so all you need to do is just highlighting your effect, optics compensation, field of view, then press this graph editor button over here. And as you guys can see, our graph is a little bit linear and rough, and in order to fix that, we will have to highlight our keyframes. You can start by the first keyframe, press this easy ease out button over here, then highlight the end keyframe and press the easy ease in, then next one to the easy ease out. Actually, there is no one way to tell you guys how these sliders and graph work, pretty much depending on each effects and each occasion. But the thing I'm sure about is that the more you use this graph editor and these sliders, you can get more familiar with it and know how it works. Alright, so now what we're going to do is just to play around a little bit with these sliders over here, the start and the end keyframes, and see how will that tweak up our transition and make it look cooler and more seamless. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a start keyframe, drag this slider all the way down until we have this curve over here, then go to the end keyframe or the end slider and drag it all the way in again. So as you guys can see, we have a curve instead of the linear graph we had in the beginning. Okay, let's check that out. It works nice, but we wanted to have like this sort of gradual speed at the start point, and it goes fast by the end. So the way to do this is by drag this first slider a little bit like that, and let's check that out again. And here it is. It goes awesome. It's exactly what we want, like a slow speed in the beginning, then it peaks up and fades out just like that. Alright, so if you guys don't feel really comfortable dealing with the whole graph editor thing, you can just let me undo this. You can highlight all your keyframes, right click, go to keyframe assistant, and easy ease. Okay guys, so that's everything about the optics compensation or the fisheye effect in Adobe After Effects. And as I said in the beginning, if you are more interested in Adobe Premiere Pro, my very last tutorial was about the same exact effect in Adobe Premiere Pro. You can just go and check that out on my channel. And as I said guys, I got featured on Photoshop on Instagram, so don't forget to go check that out, link down below in the description. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get notified once I upload new tutorials. Okay, so that's everything for today guys. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.